So, okay, well,
Well, we can go ahead and start with roll call and then pick up Scott when he comes in. So I can start, and I guess we'll just go, everybody just take their turn. How about that? So Julie Donham.
Paul Ash.
Mary Morgan.
Tracy Gates.
Alex Crowley.
Kaisa Goodman.
Jackie Yenna.
Jane Cooper Smith, staff.
John Starretts with the city.
Larry Allen, staff.
Kevin Curran, staff.
Is that everybody?
I think so.
Okay. All right. Jane sent out last meeting, which was July 8th of 2020's minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to take a look at those?
Yes.
If so, can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. So moving along through our agenda, we will first have the director's report. Jane, if you want to start with that.
Sure. The director's report is a little light today, although our agenda is full. So I'll just touch on two kind of ongoing subjects. The zone map. I've been interviewing potential SPIA fellows this week and describing the project to them. So that's going to be our fellows' primary focus over the next year. So I'm hoping that we'll have a recommendation by the end of this year, and then if appropriate, implementation in spring 2021. And then I wanted to touch on the website. We just continue uploading online applications. So we're moving forward in that direction. And then we'll be ready for a big zone resident scholarship push this fall. So I'm really hoping we can get people some training and tuition support. So that's it for the general report. And then the financial reports, I guess Kevin and I can kind of tackle.
Maybe Kevin can look up or talk about the financial reports. Kevin? Does everybody have them in front of them, or does Jane need to share her screen?
Oh, sorry, I'll do that. There we go. Kevin, are you here?
Kevin, can you discuss the income statement?
All right, I can walk us through.
Okay. Well, you want me to, it looks like comparative income. July of this year, we were at 602,731 compared to July of last year. We were at 380,527. So a positive variance of $222,000. If you look at the bottom line net income, our net income year to date is $552,409. And compared to our income last year, it was negative $653,502, but that takes into account our $1 million grant to the CDFI that was paid out during the year. So we are positive for the year, both in income collection and in bottom line net income. Does anybody have any questions with regard to and Jane, I don't mean to step on your toes at all.
No, I love it. Go for it.
Does anybody have any questions with regard to the income statement? Moving on to the balance sheet. Balance sheet shows cash and cash equivalents were our funds set at $2,199,000 compared to last year $1,861,322. Kevin, I did have a couple of questions on this. That accounts receivable number is still in there at the same amount. So if you
Yeah.
could check on that for us.
Yeah, and I'll just give you a quick update. I have gone through and I have basically gone through all of the transactions dating back to, I mean, most of these balances are back to 2014 up through 2017 was the most recent.
Okay.
So I both went through QuickBooks to make sure that I didn't see a transaction that might have been related that, somehow got posted incorrectly. I also went back through First Financial records back to, the same dates.
Right.
And I didn't see any situation where we received money, or in the case of payables, it's the same thing. I didn't see any situation where we actually made payments to the vendors for those amounts. So I'm not sure exactly what the issue is, and I will get time with Jeff Underwood, but unfortunately this is the depth of budget season right now, and so trying to get time for either of us has been very difficult. But we should slow down here probably as we get into September. We'll be able to kind of take a step back, and I should be able to sit down with him and figure out what's going on there.
Okay, so hopefully because we've asked about this for a couple of months, but hopefully we'll have a resolution and just either get those off or know what they are next time, because those numbers stay the same for payables and receivables.
Right. It may be difficult by September, because we basically wrap up the budget and submit it on October 9th or 10th, something around that. So it's more likely that I'll have it resolved by the end of October. I'll certainly try by the end of September, but getting time with Jeff is, his time is pretty full, and I'm pretty neck deep in the budget. So I will do my best, but certainly by the end of October, I think we should be in good shape one way or the other.
Okay. All right. If you notice down in other assets, notes receivable, those are the notes, the grants that we've made. And you can, they're grants. And there's also, if you look at the ones that also had a balance at June or July 30th, 31st of 19, those were long-time grants. Those were not in this new round. But everything other than that are the brand new grants that we've made.
Well, and these are small business loans.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
That was going to be my question. They are the loans through the rapid recovery.
Right. I just said the wrong thing. Sorry.
I actually have a question about those.
Okay.
Sure.
I was looking at the list of loans, the RRF loans, and it's dated 7/9, so it might be outdated. But there are some notations that say revised. This is not on the document that was in our packet, but this is in the if you go to the business page on the Bloomington, on the city's website.
Okay.
Under the RF loan program.
I can speak to that, Jane, if you'd like.
So I'm just curious.
Sure, I'm just trying to hear the question.
Yeah. So if you go to the yep, and then it says here, yeah.
Okay. So what's the question, Mary? Which ones in particular were you looking at?
The notation saying revised, what does that mean? And is that reflected in the statement that we're seeing in our packet?
Yeah, so these are loans that they essentially did 2 rounds of funding. So like Popcorn Kernels started with, I think 15, and they added 15. We were encouraging people to, that's not a BBA loan, but just for example, encouraging people to think long-term about what they need, since the COVID recovery was just generally taking longer than what we initially anticipated. So I'm trying to look for the BUEA revised amounts.
Boys and Girls Club is the only one I saw.
Or Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Alex, do you know why that one says revised?
Basically if there was a change, whether it was because people changed their amounts or because the tracking was we had in a previous iteration had a different number in there for a different reason. If it said revised, it was meant to flag that a previous report may have had a different amount, and so that's really what was being done in that column.
And Mary, to tether back to the financial reports, let's look in here. What you're looking at on the website is static representation of our sort of manual record keeping, and then this is a representation of the actual cash transfers that went through. So these are linked to banking transactions, which maybe is stating the obvious, but it is different. So.
And Jen, you may want to point out that there are a couple of in there that are tied to loans, right? So they are. This is not just the RRF loans, but for example, the project school. Right.
Any of the loans that have previous balances or unsquare amounts were previously existing. So, and then you'll see the Allery. Of course, we extended them a grace period.
Jane, I was going to ask about the Topolgus. Is there anything new on that one?
New and not new. I have been talking with the Topolgus family, and it seems that there's a lack of records on their part, and because this dates back to 2011, we're needing to do some excavating at the city as well. So that's in process, which is good. That's new. I don't think anyone has communicated with them about it. I think that it stems from a misunderstanding, because they had a third party that was applying for grants and loans on their behalf. So I think they believed that they were, that they had paid it off. So yeah, I should have more news next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions with regard to the balance sheet?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to parse this. There are some BUEA loans on that RRF program sheet that are not in the list here. Is that just because the sheet hasn't been updated? So for example, the balance
loans on, sorry, which one are you looking
the
at?
balance lifestyle services, I'm not seeing on our balance sheet.
I'll have to look into that.
And now the sheet that's after the financial statement shows some unfunded. So we've got about 25,000 unfunded. So would that be it?
No, I don't think so. I think it was unclear in the beginning of that loan whether it was BUVA eligible, and it turned out that it was. And so I'm just wondering if we, yeah, I'll report back on that next time, Mary.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that should be answerable for sure.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I don't know that this would apply, but this is, it could potentially be a timing issue if something went out in August. This would only be through July 31st. But this is reflective of any disbursements made from the BUA bank account.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Anything else on that program or those?
Jane, do we know, and I'm kind of jumping ahead here a little bit, but do we know what has not been funded yet? That we, or is that 25,000 just left for approvals?
Where are you looking at the?
I'm looking at the organization RRF loan fund, 350 budgeted, 324 paid. Go on down another page. There, that one. See where it says 350 funded or budgeted, 324 paid. 25.
Oh gosh, you guys, yeah, so we have, this has been updated since I put the packet together. So we're at 344 is our
Okay.
current.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. I
Yeah.
just what had not been.
Yeah, so we're close.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this little spreadsheet is just answering the question about what we've committed to and what we have left. And Sean will touch on the zone arts and RRF support. You can see there's an administration. The idea behind this line was that if we were going to launch a loan program, we wanted to make sure it was well supported. So we purchased some document management software, and then this 320 is the subscription to Community Force, which was the online application. So we were an add-on for the Community Foundation for that. This is our beefed up zone resident scholarship line. We only have one new scholarship. You'll notice there's, I think, 1,800 paid out this year so far in scholarships, but that represents 2019 approved scholarships. So for new 2020 scholarships, we've only seen 600 go out the door. So I think we'll have a different commitment amount there next month, which will be exciting. And then the historic facade grant, that's the Frosted Foods building. So we've only had one of those come through as well.
Okay.
I have a question about the RRF zone arts line. So in the Recover Forward proposal that's going to council tonight, there's a section for arts community supports, and it says the BUEA has identified $100,000 for that. Is that funds that we've already budgeted, or is that something that we're gonna be?
We have not had that conversation yet as a board, and Alex might be able to weigh in on the timing, but I think that for 2021, that is something that they would like to.
Well, just to be clear, I think, Mary, you're asking, tonight is 2020 stimulus funding. You're asking whether the 100,000 that's listed as a deduction from the gross amount is something that's already been committed to by the BUEA, and the short answer is yes. That represents the amount that was committed to as part of the 500,000 that the BUEA put on the table back in April. Okay. So that's that. There, what the future holds, we, may seek to get incremental funding from the BUEA for future art support, but that for tonight, that is 2020 pre-committed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so is that it for financial reports?
Yeah, are there any questions with regard to the balance sheet or where we are with regard to what we've committed and what we have outstanding, what the commitments are? Thanks, Jane, for including that spreadsheet, because I kind of need to know where we were.
Yep.
And Julie, I just for your purposes and everybody's purposes, just want to remind everybody the process that we are employing for payments from UEA funds. In the past, it's been a process that includes a physical check with two signatures, and obviously that is complicated by COVID and all of that. So the way that we are operating payments that are coming out of the account right now is consistent, I think, with the way that BUEA sort of approved doing it, which is that we are making electronic fund transfers out of the BUEA account, and the dual approval involves our department asking the controller to authorize the payment, which the controller has to approve first, and then that payment approval comes back to us, and I personally trigger the payment out of First Financial using the online payment functionality. So, we I think are still hoping potentially to employ a systematic dual approval process, and just need to get to that. But right now we have some control over it based on not triggering an approval until we have something from the controller, which is effectively the dual signature.
And no, I think we need to keep that up, obviously. So anyway, but no, thanks for putting that in place because things are different right now. So, all right. So now, Sean, do you want to talk about the RRF Arts Grant update?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. So Jane will be compiling as we move forward too. We've been getting a lot of thank you notes, which is really nice. So we'll be compiling those and putting those into the packet moving forward. They had a kind of a deadline that was part of the MOU. They have to update, the BUEA and City Council and the Office of the, which is good advocacy in general and good ways to kind of update how the arts and culture sector is recovering or not recovering, right? So we've had a conversation with the BAC and as Jane as well about, we're teeing up on traditionally when the arts grant application would happen, which would be this month. So our hope is to roughly allocate $40,000, which we normally do this time of year, to encourage collaboration and continued programming. So what has happened is most arts and cultural groups have totally pivoted. Either they have all online, they've gone virtual. For example, Cardinals doing radio plays that will pass through WFHB. That's like a really nice kind of close-knit collaboration that we want to continue to support. So we had a call with all the grantees and a few organizations last week to kind of talk about continued struggles, continued issues. And what we're really hoping for is for arts and cultural groups to apply as units. We broke it down based off of, this is up to them to decide, but we have, based off of their first round of applicants, kind of seen and kind of compared notes of grant applicants and where the shortfalls were between their organizations, whether that was not having a social media person or not having access to online content or Zoom, those kinds of things. So our hope is to distribute within the next, meeting, after a BAC meeting tonight, distribute another round of grant applications. We're also up against a time that's a little tight because the CARES Act funding has come down through the state. So there is $10 million available across the state that the Indiana Destination Development Department, I'm messing that up, has that is distributing through the C. So we don't necessarily compete with that funding. So we'll probably be within the same kind of couple weeks as that funding. But the capacity issue for a lot of our local arts organizations to get that funding is unlikely, frankly. Some groups will get it, like ones that have development directors. So groups like the Bus, Kirk Chumley, Cardinal State, APP, people that have full-time staffers that are writers. The other groups that have been severely impacted will likely not be able to kind of get that funding. I hope I'm wrong, right? So we'll, usually that BUEA support pretty critical right now in terms of sustaining programming. The other discussion that I wanted to kind of open up to you all, and Jane and I have been kind of considering this, is our venues are struggling, right? Groups like the Bluebird, groups like the Bishop, Blockhouse, Backdoor, these are cultural assets. Yes, they are bars and entertainment, but they are also providing platforms for a variety of, there's a lot of indirect support the arts and cultural ecosystem. Backdoor, Blockhouse, all those groups support music festivals, Midway, like Pride Fest, like the Pride Film Fest, all those kinds of things. And unfortunately, the CARES Act really not considered music as much as they should have. So our hope is to allot somewhere between 10 and 15,000 to go into direct support grants businesses to you, whether that's either through online or collaborative programming with some of these arts organizations through the fall, just to kind of shore them up and kind of distribute some funding. All of the organizations that I just mentioned are businesses, are zone businesses. Really no necessarily concern there, but a lot of, we also have that concern with the BC LAFD getting BUA funding when they're technically not in the zone, but they're literally on the border of the BUA zone. So we know that they impact zone residents. So that's just kind of the direction we're thinking, and I'm happy to entertain any kind of questions or conversations. And forgive, my internet connection is not the best Zoom here in the studio, so if I lagged, please interrupt me.
I have a question.
Yes.
So the amount that you mentioned, was that in total 10 to 15,000, or was that like per grant?
That would be total right now, just because we haven't, our hope is to do kind of sustain program right now. So it'd be 40,000 with an additional 10 to 15, but reserving a specific amount for venues. The other half, what we have now, so that would be for this part of the quarter three. And the remaining 100,000 that we have, or it's not a remaining 100,000, the remaining funds out of the rapid response funds would then be issued in December again for another grant application that would be kind of a recovery grant to get arts organizations started in 21. So it's a kind of, what we did was like emergency grants in April. This would be kind of sustaining programming through the fall. And then in December, releasing the rest of the money that was allotted in 2020 of a recovery coming out of 21 or going into 20's events. Now, and I can understand why only 15 for the for-profit entities. Conversations with the Indiana Music Alliance or Music Venues Alliance. So there is some conversations about state funding coming down, potential CARES Act funding that would be devoted specifically to music venues. So the question that we're kind of weighing out right now is, are we too ahead of the curve? Are we replicating grant funding scenarios that might be coming forward? Probably not, but the BUA could be a kind of a thought leader, both in Indiana and regionally around that in terms of supporting and just saying any kind of amount of that's a grant, a business like that is important, and to leverage kind of continued arts and cultural support means a lot to those venues.
Yeah, my question was, would that be sufficient? And I am glad that you're considering grants rather than loans, even though these are businesses, because I think that is important, and we know that a lot of businesses are not pursuing some of the local loan opportunities because they don't want to take on additional debt, given the uncertainties of their ability to repay it. So we're really concerned about some of these, including the music venues that are businesses, but obviously contribute to our local culture. Are you there, Sean?
I think he froze.
I'm going to speak on his behalf. He agrees with you and thanks you for the feedback. We've talked, so
in the end, we will go ahead, by the end of the year, we will disperse the remaining 72,500.
Yeah, I think the idea is we'll disperse that by the end of the year, and then the recipients have through end of 2021 to use it.
Okay.
Put it to work.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
Are there other questions with regard to the zone grant, the arts grant? Sorry. Jane, do you want to talk about the loan program status? I think we actually have a little.
Yeah, I feel like we sort of touched base on this, but I just wanted to communicate that in light of, not Mary's comments specifically today, but just those general ideas, we extended the grace period or the deferment period through next May. So the first payments of the RRF loans will start June 1st, 2021. They were all due starting December 1st, 2020, which is obviously soon given the pace of the recovery and very challenging given the rhythm of the retail market in our community specifically. So people were really grateful, and that gives them spring, and hopefully there's a graduation weekend in there that will be a boon to businesses as well before the payments become due.
No, I think that's a good move, so.
And sorry, y'all, my internet connection. Zoom always just kicks me out every now and then, so I apologize for that. And Mary, I got most of your question, and concern, which was the exciting aspect of it being a grant, not a loan for these kind of businesses, the accrued debt and that kind of stuff. And to be frank about your question too, no, it's not enough, right? And that's where my conversations with the state are coming in, working with the Destination Development Organization, the Indiana Arts Commission, and making sure that we do get both federal and state CARES Act that really does think about the arts and entertainment and cultural ecosystem and sector, because they have been putting a lot on the line in terms of being really thoughtful about COVID concerns, doing everything they can, and for them to kind of take a knee and not get additional support is really, really hard on them. So the future of this kind of ecosystem and entertainment in our community is really, really critical and really, really important. So we want to make sure that we can shore them up the best we can with what little we have, but also I think similar to what grants have done in the past, a little goes a long way. So.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. Jane, do you want to talk about the scholarship program?
Yeah, that we sort of touched base about this too, just that you noticed in the budget line that these funds haven't gone out the door yet. And so I think between now and next meeting, we'll be doing a big push to get applicants to apply for them. I don't exactly know what that marketing strategy will look like, but we're really going to try to get the word out in new ways rather than just using, the city press release vehicle. I think there's a lot more communicating that we can do. So yeah, so stay tuned, and I may ask you all to push that information out in your respective networks when it becomes available too.
It seems like if there was ever a time that people might need this was a good time for that.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
Especially in retraining and things like that. That's good. Well, thank you so much for getting that out. All right, moving on to new business, if there's no other questions there. Okay, hearing none. We have determined that we did not elect officers for the year. And Jane, in her email out, sent a request for nominations. Jane, did we get any nominations?
Karen has been nominated for vice president.
Okay.
And then we're shy on secretary nominations. So
all right. Is there anyone in any of our board members that would be willing to take this position or that would like to nominate someone?
I would just say about the secretary role that it's not a labor intensive role. There's no note taking as often there is in other boards. So I think it's just being willing to serve in the executive committee, paying close attention to the notes, and being willing to be a signatory if necessary, and being willing to run a meeting if necessary. So day to day, it's not a whole lot of additional work, but we do need somebody to wear that hat for us.
Anybody willing to take it?
Was that Scott raising his hand?
Scott, are you willing, Scott?
He's shedding a tear because he's so busy right now.
I know we're all busy. I was actually just scratching my face. But, I'm actually the secretary on a separate board, which is quite, note intensive.
Okay.
Right now.
I think they say the word secretary and everybody kind of cringes going, oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
But it is not that way here, so.
Well, I told Jane if nobody else is available for it, I would be willing to do it. But if anybody else would like.
She really wants someone else to be available.
All right, come on, fellow board members. Anybody want to step up and save Mary?
Well, so let me, Larry, Allen, you're on, right?
I am.
Because of my sort of dual role with the city, it's probably, would it be for me to save Mary?
You can. You are a full board member, so that's up to you.
I
Mary,
was just going to nominate her.
I would say by way of checks and balances, it might be good to have somebody that's not part of the city be part of the executive team, just because of the way the finances flow through Alex's department.
And especially since he makes the access for funds, I would
Yeah.
kind of
That's correct.
agree with that.
Okay. Sorry, Mary, I tried.
I also just don't trust Alex. So just so the board's
As a
aware.
rule.
And there's that.
Demonstrating pristine judgment as usual.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll nominate Mary.
All right.
Mary, we'll make it easy for
All
you.
right. So I guess if the slate of officers to be presented, I would continue to be president since we're halfway through the year already. Karen would be vice president and Mary would be secretary.
Larry, do you need formal nominations for president and vice?
Well, it sounds like in the motion we should approve that slate of candidates.
Okay.
The other clarifying point would be if this is taking place of the January 2020 elections, this can be a 2-year appointment. If we see this as filling in, then this could be appointment until January 2021, where we reset the 2-year clock. So we can do that either way, but please, just consider that during the motion.
Good try. I think the board will appreciate, or the officers who's volunteered would appreciate revisiting in January.
Yeah.
Am I correct in that? Okay.
Yeah, that would
Just
be
try.
good. So.
I'm just going by your bylaws.
So if somebody would like to make a motion to approve or to nominate that slate of officers, and then we'll have a second and then we'll vote.
So moved.
Okay, second?
And
Jane, did you get who that was? I didn't see.
It was
right.
Scott.
Okay, Scott. Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Thank you very much. Okay, Jane, you want to talk to us about the Catalent? You talked a little bit about it last week.
Right, we touched on this last meeting. I am sharing with the group today the 2 Catalent Easy 2s. These are the standard compliance form. This is an old deduction. It's toward the end of its life. But they just filed late, as we had a lot more late filings this year than we normally would. They weren't required to complete the Easy BE form, which is usually the extension form. I found out retroactively that form is really for extensions that go beyond that are retroactive for the previous year. So since this is just late by, I think they filed it on the 25th, and the due date, oh, there it is, the 22nd, and the due date was the 15th. The auditor's office just requested that we approve it as a board, and then I will write a letter indicating that we formally approved it at our meeting. And so last meeting, we didn't have, we just didn't have documentation, so it was unclear what we were actually discussing. But so we have a personal property EZID, that's this one. This is the amount that they get to deduct. And then that's not their total savings. Their savings is times their tax rate, and then they pay 20% of the savings back to us. So this represents a substantial portion of our annual budget.
And this is money we have not gotten yet, correct?
No, they paid us.
Oh, they did.
Us immediately. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jane, there's a notation at the top of the form saying it was postmarked on the 15th, but it was received on the 22nd. So
Right.
sort of at the core of the discrepancy here.
Yeah, the county doesn't care when anyone postmarks their forms. They only care when it, you know, it's just not official until it shows up in their office and they stamp it.
Well, it looks like we're in the last year of this, so, and we have made a precedent before to accept these, and I don't see any, is there any real discussion about this? If not, can I have a motion to approve the late acceptance of this?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Thank you very much. That was easy, Jane.
Thank you.
So you want to report on Margaret?
Yes, I think we know Margaret has been busy, increasingly busy in the last couple of years with her business. And I think since we had replenished some of our board spots, she wanted to go ahead and step down. So she submitted a letter of resignation this week. And her gratitude for time on the BUEA, and of course I extended ours as well, as she's really done a lot in service of this organization over the years. So her particular position is the zone resident appointed by council. And she also is the representative of Larry, is it a political minority or is it just the non?
She's a resident member. She just has to be of the opposite political party as the other resident member, which is Mary. Or not of the same party, I should say, very specifically,
Okay.
Not of the same party, not, it's not a binary.
Okay.
I would also like to, just for the record, express my, I don't know, it's very weird for me as a former journalist to be identified with a political party. And that is only because there really is no option to not vote in the primary election.
Right.
So I know that we are identified now in that way, but it feels very odd to me.
And I just as a note, Mary, you can thank the General Assembly and their infinite wisdom for this system.
No doubt, yeah.
Yeah, and I guess, the goal is to ensure there's at least one dissenting voice in this body. But yeah, I understand your perspective.
Well, I'm very thankful for our new board members that we're not constantly scraping the barrel to see if we have enough even to vote. So I appreciate you all so much. And I guess if anyone would have any recommendations to Jane or to Alex that may be a good board member to replace Margaret, can they get with you, Jane?
Yeah, people are welcome to email me. This appointment, though, does go through the council office, and they, I think, Larry, they have their own system of record keeping. So they may have people who would already be willing to serve. But definitely, please email me. I'm happy to pass information along.
Larry, do they keep an ongoing list?
I don't know if they have a list. They certainly do they'll nominate based on the applications that they receive, and they've already posted that application. So if they do have a list of running members, it would be based on that application.
Okay.
But that's kept by the clerk's office for council. And certainly recommendations are always welcome because we want to fill these boards with the best people we can, and diversity is always welcome.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Well, we will miss Margaret because Margaret always brought to this group, I think, a different perspective and a different way of looking at things at times. And it was always refreshing, I think. So we wish her the best. Jane, do we have any unfinished business?
Not that we haven't discussed already kind of in the director's report.
Okay. Does anyone have anything for general discussion? All right. Well, the next BUEA board meeting will be September 9th, will be past Labor Day. September 9th at noon. We will be doing that by Zoom, continue to do it by Zoom. Is there anything else to add there? All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else to come before the board.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose. You guys all have a great week, and we will see you in September.